let's quickly start with what the US markets did then in overnight trade. And the stock futures rose slightly in overnight trading on Sunday as the market is poised to wrap up the month of July with strong gains. Now, the futures of the Dow Jones Industrial Average inched up 34 points, S&P 500 futures rose 0.2% and Nasdaq 100 futures were 0.4% higher. Now, remember on a monthly basis, the S&P is up 3% for the month of July. Dow did see a strong rally of gains as well, up 3.1%, and it was Nasdaq Composite has also gained 3.8%, topsy-turvy month for Nasdaq there, but managing to end up with gains. So Nasdaq is also on set to end the month with a winning streak. Followed by that, the blue chip Dow is also up 3.1% like I mentioned. And investors will shift their focus on the big jobs report this week. Economist poll by Dow Jones expect that the US economy will add 200,000 jobs for this month, and non-farm payrolls have increased to 209,000 for the month of June. Also, let's focus on what the earnings look like in the US. And so far for the earnings season, of the 254 companies that have reported their earnings so far, 78.7% of those companies have reported earnings above analyst expectations. So this is data that's coming in from Refinitiv. And on the earnings front, you've also got the heavy lifters of the US market. That's Apple and Amazon. They will be reporting numbers later this week. So keep an eye out on all these important cues that's coming in for the US markets. Let's shift focus to Europe then. And European stocks closed slightly lower on Friday as investors processed a week of earnings and central bank decisions. Remember, the ECB also took its decision, and the stock 600 index closed 0.2% lower, so 0.2 of a point downtick coming in there for the stock 600. Most sectors, though, although closed in the negative territory. And media stock led the losses. They were down around 1.3%. So while we have a slightly weakish handover coming in from Europe, US markets looking strong. Futures had a slight of an uptick, and on a monthly basis also all three indices logging strong gains anywhere between 3 and 4% leader. But this is what the global handover looks like on the equity front. Why don't you take us through what the commodities did then?
Well, let's look at the oil prices, how they are trending. The WTI crude, that's down around 0.3% and it's at around 80 per barrel dollar. The Brent crude, that is also flattish at around 84.5. But if we look at the weekly gains, it has logged its fifth straight week of gain, the oil prices, and that's on the back of healthy demand. Well, the healthy demand, it comes from the Fed, which Fed and ECB, they have indicated that they will be stopping or they will be pausing on the rate hikes. And also China has pledged up and they have stepped up on its stimulus. The quarter GDP also has come in very strong. Along with this, even the supply cuts from OPEC, that has contributed to the oil prices being at fifth straight week high. So that's on the crude oil check.
Alright, with that, let's also look at all the important cues that you should be keeping on your radar for this trading week. And let's start with US then. And on the 1st of August, which is tomorrow, you will get the S&P Global Manufacturing number. You will also get the manufacturing PMI number, that is. August 3, you have the S&P Global Composite and Service PMIs number. And August 3 as well, you also have the initial jobless claims number, like I mentioned. And let's shift focus to UK then. And on the 1st of August, you have S&P Global as well as the UK manufacturing PMI numbers coming out. And August 3, all eyes will be on the Bank of England rate decision. Shifting focus to Eurozone, July 31st, which is today, you have big numbers coming in from Eurozone, which is CPI as well as GDP data. Coming tomorrow, you have the S&P Global Eurozone manufacturing PMI numbers. August 3, you have services PMI, PPI numbers also coming in. And August 4, you've got the retail sales number coming in. Shifting focus to the east then, and let's look at China. 1st of August, you've got the kicks in PMI manufacturing numbers. 3rd August, you've got kicks in services and composite PMI numbers coming in. And August 4, you've got the second quarter balance of payment current account data coming in for China. Important cues to watch there. Let's shift focus domestic and on the corporate action front. On the 2nd of August, you've got Sheela Foam. The board will consider raising funds via QIPs. And on the IPO action front in the primary markets from August 3rd to 7th, you've got SBFC Finance IPO, which will be opening for subscription. So important cues coming for this week. Lots of activity happening globally as well as domestically. So keep an eye out for all these cues.
And now let's move on to what what else is on the global front? Well, China is set to announce new measures to boost consumption, that is to revive the economy after its post-COVID recovery. The officials will be holding a press conference today. And remember, this comes after the country's growth momentum weakened in the Q2 on the back of property market slump following a brief rebound at the start of the year. Well, the exports also witnessed a decline, pushing the economy to the brink of deflation and further darkening the growth outlook.
And in some somber news coming in from neighboring Pakistan after a suicide bomber claimed as many as 44 lives and wounded nearly 200 people. The chief of Jamiat Ulema-e-Islam Fazal has demanded Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the province's caretaker chief minister to investigate the incident.
And in some stock-specific action, US retail giant Walmart has paid a whopping $1.4 billion to buy out the Tiger Global-backed e-commerce major Flipkart. And according to the Wall Street Journal report, the hedge fund came out with a letter indicating the buyout.
And shifting focus to the world of cinema then, Warner Bros Barbie shows no signs of slowing down in its second week at the box office. Director Greta Gerwig's take on Barbie, the year's #1 movie by many parameters, has made more than $351 million in the US and Canada since opening and nearly $775 million globally. Meanwhile, Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer stayed in #2 position.